Yo, how's it going everybody? It's me, Arctic. Today's video we're going to be looking at some Scaramousche information. Now this basically comes from the Husk of Opulent Dream set, so pretty much if you guys want to read the whole backstory, I'm not going to be reading all of the details on here. I'm basically just going to be reading the summary for you guys in today's video and discussing what the implications of this are for the game upcoming. If you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. We're making some pretty good progress, and it really helps me out if you guys do drop a follow. But anyway, let's get back to the video. And just a quick heads up, this is a little bit in the spoiler kind of terms area, but basically if you have already completed the 2.1 Archon quest, you're going to be good for this video. It's basically spoilers sort of for the ahead, but it's in-game now, and so it's not really spoilers anymore. But, so if you have completed the 2.1 Archon quest, you know that Scaramousche actually appears in the Archon quest, and what he's doing is he's basically acting as a Fatui agent, passing on delusions, trying to disrupt the power in Azuma, but he actually has some motives behind why he's doing that. As it's revealed in these, he actually has a lot more of a backstory, and he also has more motive for actually trying to steal the Gnosis, basically, from Raiden Shogun / Yai. Basically, he ends up with the Gnosis at the end of the 2.1 Archon quest. So, a quick summary of all the events described, and once again, credit to whoever summarized these in this post. But less than 500 years ago, he was created by A as a vessel for the heart, basically the Gnosis. But A observed that he cried in his dreams, and basically decided that he was too fragile. So basically, Scaramousche was unable to carry the burden of the Gnosis. And then what happened is that A later made Raiden Shogun as a puppet, basically without a heart. Scaramousche, as a failed prototype, was put in a slumber in one of these pavilions, which I think is on one of the islands or whatever. I think it's the most current island that we just got, actually, which is where the new artifact domain, I believe, is going to be as well. But the Gnosis was sent to the shrine, basically, and put under Yai's care. And so after a while, Scaramousche woke himself up, and he was discovered by the people of Tartarasuna, and so then he went by the name that he doesn't even know himself, and basically he just like forgot what his original name was. Like, he doesn't even remember at this point, it's been so long. They didn't know how to treat him because he wasn't actually human, but also his possession of the gold ornament that proved his connection to the Shogun. They asked him to help them seek assistance from Narukami Shrine regarding the problems at Tatarasuna. Basically, Scaramousche actually goes to Narukami Shrine and he meets up with Yai, who said she'd send help, but somehow the whole helping Tatarasuna mission was put on stop, and he was discovered by the first Fatui. So, basically he was kidnapped, like a AOT Eren Yeager style. He was basically kidnapped. He's like, oh, I've got the power to actually wield the founding Titan, if you will, or the founding Gnosis, if you will. Basically, he's got the power to wield the Gnosis, so he was basically stolen because of his like status as non-human. And at the end of wandering, yeah, he basically goes to Shinai and joins the Fatui, and he starts like wandering basically. And the Fatui give him the name Scaramousche. There's also some interesting things about like how Scaramousche is not necessarily his real name, and the Balladeer might actually be like more of his actual like name, just because of like the Chinese translations and English translations and whatnot here. And so pretty much, yeah, like Scaramousche is what he's gonna be called in game in English probably, but like in terms of his actual name, it's more so like tied to his actual Fatui kind of actual representation right there. Quick view of the timeline right here. So he set eastward basically after becoming a Fatui, you know, this was like long ago basically. He basically journeys eastward to Mondstadt, and that's when the Unreconciled Stars event basically takes place. And then after that he returned to Inazuma, meeting up with Signora, and basically doing all that they did right there, basically trying to uproot power. But what actually happens is that he takes the Gnosis for himself and betrays the Fatui. Now, we've also got some information from the, whatever that, 2.2 quest was with, like, Tartaglia as well. We know that, like, Scaramousche kind of retreated there, I believe, is what, actually ended up happening. He tries to put the Gnosis in himself, and since he was made to contain it, and we basically believe that he probably is going to succeed. He probably succeeds, but, and then there's a quote right here, I think this is from the actual Husk set, that said, "It did not contain any blessings, but it was instead a sacrifice brimming with selfishness, hypocrisy, cunning, and curses, all wrapped in animable husk. He may attempt to remove it after realizing this. So we don't necessarily know what exactly Scaramouche's fate is, but we do know that he actually does obtain this Gnosis and actually like tries to use it. But what's interesting is that it's in a Gnosis, but it seems to actually contain a whole big burden of all this like selfishness, hypocrisy, which actually would explain why like Zhongli was so like willing to actually give up his Gnosis, because he was basically like giving up a burden in a way. Not necessarily, he wasn't necessarily giving up status, he was giving up a burden more likely. And the reason why Aid actually basically tried to create a separate like vessel and that kind of stuff that would hold a Gnosis is so all of this like curses and whatnot would actually be contained in that. But what's interesting also is that if Yai's like holding on, if Yai was holding on to the Gnosis, maybe she was actually having to carry the burden of all these curses and hypocrisy. It says, sussy future story, it says, you once acquired the heart that you always dreamed of, but it was a mere prop for lies and deception. Now you will finally obtain what belongs to you, and this false construct of a body can at last aspire to the power over this world. Sounds like he will be gaining another something that isn't the Gnosis, and the Gnosis heart he dreamt of having, but was a mere prop for lies. But apparently there's something more than Gnosises that like either have more power or act more so as like an actual heart for characters. And maybe that's actually what like all the beings in Teva are. Like maybe it's like something tied to the Abyss Order. Like they all have some sort of tie to the Abyss in Conria or something. That's pretty much it. Once again, thanks to Esperanza or whatever, however you pronounce their name. But basically dropping all of this information right here in speculation. It was pretty interesting to actually read through this, and it kind of ties in and gives us more like solid evidence that like Scaramouche actually has betrayed the Fatui and is going and actually has the Gnosis in his possession for some reason. Anyway, if you guys liked the video, remember to subscribe. But anyway, it's been me, Arctic. I will see you guys in the next one. Farewell.